What's going on, guys? Matthew here, and today we're gonna start doing board game reviews. That's right, as you can see behind me, I've got a treasure trove of board games. Some of these are my mermaids, but most of them are mine. And today we're gonna be looking at a game called Smash Up by Paul Peterson. There's your thumbnail. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, or Pokemans, or Digimans? Then if you like collecting cards of that nature and you just love the aspect of collecting and creating your own decks and building your own sort of way to play, then you're gonna love Smash Up. Smash Up is, I would say, a good introduction to how trading card games work. Let's talk about the basics. Now, obviously, as trading card games go, your assumption is, okay, so I have to be continuously buying cards, and then I'll craft my deck, and then I'll be able to play the game I want to play. Well, Smash Up does that for you. When you buy the base set, which, by the way, is required to enjoy the game properly, you will see a variety of options already pre-made for you. They're like decks pre-built. It's like they already went to the store and bought a bunch of boosters and then built decks for you. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, but Matthew, I want to build my own deck. I have my own card ideas I have. And, I want to do this sort of type of deck. I want to do this type of deck. Well, hold your horses there, Jimmy Bimmy. That's her name, Jimmy Bimmy. Smash Up is not here to replace trading card games. In fact, it's to reinforce the spirit of what trading card games are. A giant money pool. No, but seriously, the trading card game world is so expansive and has a huge fan base attached to it. Just look at Magic the Gathering. Magic is probably one of, if not the biggest trading card game to date. I mean, they're constantly coming out with packs every year. You will never stop needing to update your deck if you're looking to go pro. So that being said, if you are more into the finding the cards yourself and building your ultimate deck, then perhaps this game isn't for you. But if you're interested in getting a new experience in card games and you don't want to have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff, then Smash Up is for you. I can't stress how important this game is if you're considering going into the trading card game world. As in, you're thinking to yourself, man, maybe I'm going to start collecting Magic cards and start playing that game. I can't stress this enough that you have to play this game first so that you can get a good idea of how the trading card game works. It's like an introduction to the whole stigma around creating your decks and stuff. So without further ado, let's get into how you play. Playing this game without any hitches in the road is going to require the base set. Now, in theory, you don't really need the base set. You could just make your own base set by buying the expansions instead. You can do that. However, the base set has the most consistently good factions in it. So when you get the base set, you're greeted with 8 factions, and these factions are going to be your character selection and how you're going to craft your deck. Each faction comes with 20 cards, and like I said, it's a pre-made deck. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to draft. It's already drafted for you in those decks. You've got your choice of aliens, dinosaurs, ninjas, pirates, robots, tricksters, wizards, and zombies. That's a pretty vast variety of characters just from the base set alone. Now, the way you're going to select your characters is you're going to choose 2 of those 8 factions from the base set, or whatever expansions you have. You choose a combination of 2, and then you shuffle those decks together, and then that's your build. That's your deck. It's really as simple as that. No drafting. You just pick your 2 characters, and then you're ready to play. Now, how does the game play? Well, essentially, the goal of the game is to collect 15 points, and in the case of a tie, be the first to collect more than 15 points. Points are collected in a system where you have bases, and you have multiple bases on the board at a time, which is, if you're looking to count how many, it's +1 to the total player count. The game suggests 2 to 4 players, however, it's all divisible by the amount of factions you have collected over the years or whatever. The base set, the one with 8 factions, is going to ask you for 4 players maximum, just so that everybody has a chance to choose like the factions they want. However, every time you collect 4 more factions, then you can add more players to the game. The bases each have a certain amount of numbers on them. Each base has 3 numbers on them indicating what first place is going to get, what second place is going to get, and what third place is going to get. The way bases are contested, players are going to be placing minions onto the bases in order to bring the base's power level down to 0. Each base has a number in the corner, which is the total amount of power it has. And each minion has a number in the corner of their card, which indicates the amount of power they're putting towards a base in order to blow it up. So as players are playing the game, they will be placing minions on these bases, and the base power level will continue to go down until it blows up. When it blows up, then the players are then judged based on who has the most dominance over that base, as in which player had the most power put onto the base when it exploded, and then that's your first place, then it goes to second, and then it goes to third. It's really simple. So how do you play your turn, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. You have 2 options, and only 2 options. You can play an action card, and or you can play a minion onto a base. And that's it. That's all you can do. However, this is a game about reading your cards. A lot of cards are going to allow you to play more actions, or play more minions, or do other things on the board. So the possibilities of what you can be doing with your deck are virtually endless depending on your strategy and stuff. Certain factions are going to focus on other aspects than other factions. For example, wizards are all about card drawing. So you're going to be drawing cards like mad, but you're going to be playing them like mad because they're all about playing those action cards, or just playing cards or giving you more actions per turn. And then maybe if you look at a faction like dinosaurs, they're all about stompy, stompy, squishy, squishy. They just want to blow up a base as fast as possible. Or robots are all about putting out as many minions as possible, and then they incrementally power each other up. That's insane! The amount of combinations you can have where you have to choose 2 are vast, and it's going to take you ages before you've exhausted every combination. And not only that, but if you buy expansions, then there's just more combinations and more combinations and more combinations. So that leads me to the cons about the product. Essentially, the problem with this game lies in the turns. The turns are going to take a long time. Generally, a whole rotation, especially if you have 4 people playing, is going to take 5 to 6 minutes per. While this doesn't sound like a big deal, it kind of is, because you're going to find yourself sitting around for a while, having nothing to do with your cards. Very few factions are going to have counterspell-like properties where you can just go, nope. A lot of the times your factions are not going to have that stuff, so you can only do the stuff you want to do when it's your turn. And maybe by then, someone's already done what you wanted to do, and so there's no more opportunities left to do that sort of thing. If you're playing a 2-player game, though, you're not going to have a problem at all. 2-player games will go by fast, and this game is really good for 2 players. But again, 2 players are limited because, you know, it might be easier to just do the stuff you want to do, and there's not a lot of blocking that's going to be happening unless the player you're playing against is just wanting to troll you and really doesn't care about winning. Now, what about the expansions? Are they good? Are they bad? Well, I purchased 3 expansions in total, and from the experience I had with those, they're kind of, yeah. There's a lot of good cards in these expansions. However, there's also a lot of bullshit, and this bullshit isn't necessarily like the fault of the creators themselves. It's more of a playtesting thing. Imagine making a game where you have to make a combination of 2 to build the deck, and then go and put it to war. playtesting that shit is gonna take you forever because you want to get every combination right. And I don't know how much they playtested the main set, but the main set is fine. It's all tuned out. Like all that stuff, all those decks in there are great and are all compatible against each other. But the expansions start to fall down a little bit. And I find that maybe it was because they tested the decks against each other in that expansion as opposed to testing the main set with them. For example, I have Awesome Level 9000, which is actually a really good expansion, and it's actually probably one of the better expansions you'll get. Again, I haven't tried them all, but Awesome Level 9000 is apparently one of the top picks for the Smash Up expansion. That being said, inside we've got bears, which are just, they're so good. Oh, they're so good. If you have bears on your team, you have a really good advantage, unless your shuffle is bad, and then in which case you're going to get trampled on. But bears, they have so much good base domination that it's like you're really fighting to like work with them properly. Steampunks have also really good move sets and base domination techniques, and also just moving minions back and forth from bases. Like, these are really good decks, and they might be too good, you know what I'm saying? The plants are right out of a spirit of the main set. Like they could have been in the main set and there would be no problems. And then there's ghosts. They're probably the worst class ever in Smash Up. They are so underpowered. Like, if you have ghosts, you are fighting. You are fighting tooth and nail to win the game. So I would say, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Yeah, yes and no. I mean, you're going to find duds in there, and you're probably going to just take the duds out and nerf them. But, that's the nature of combination games, is that it just becomes harder and harder to judge whether or not the cards are actually good enough for, as far as the base set is concerned. So, do I recommend Smash Up for newcomers to the trading card game world? Yes, absolutely. And if you play a game of Smash Up and you find that you like how the decks are being made and how you're creating your decks and stuff, then this is going to help you get into trading card games that allow you to build your decks right from the ground up. Is it a good quick game, a good fast game to kind of like get the motors turning and like get you guys in the board game mood? No, it's going to take you an hour to 2 hours depending on the amount of players playing the game. So it's going to be a long game, and you have to go in knowing that it's going to be a long game, especially when there aren't that many counter spells to go around. So you're going to be doing a lot of sitting and waiting for your turn to come. But overall, it's sincerely one of the coolest games I have ever played. And the concept was so simple to me because I personally don't like the trading card game world, just because I don't like having to buy into it all the time. I respect it as what it is, and a lot of people are totally into that, and that's cool. But it's, when it comes to having to pay into it all the time, it's a big no-no to me. So this game caters to me because I like that stuff, but I don't like paying into it. So it's like, hey, Smash Up. There you go. So yeah, that was Smash Up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next time when we look at a new board game. Peace out.